Welcome, dear friend. You've found your way here tonight, and that's no accident. Maybe you're carrying the weight of battles that feel too big, transitions that seem impossible, or promises that feel distant. Tonight, we're going to journey together through the book of Joshua, not as a history lesson, but as your personal invitation to rest in God's faithfulness. You're about to experience something beautiful. We'll walk through Joshua's story slowly, gently, letting his victories become your peace, his courage become your comfort. God's voice that guided Joshua across the Jordan River is the same voice speaking love over you right now as you prepare for sleep. Take a deep breath with me. Let your shoulders drop. Feel your body settling into this safe place. Your mind can quiet now. The battles of today are finished, and tomorrow's challenges can wait. Father God, as we open your word tonight, let every story of your faithfulness wash over our weary hearts. Remind us that you are the same yesterday, today, and forever. We are yours, and you are fighting for us. Amen. Maybe you're feeling paralyzed tonight, standing at the edge of something unknown, something that feels too big for you to handle, like you're staring across an impossible river with no way to cross. You're not sure you have what it takes. Listen to what God told Joshua when he was feeling exactly this way, standing at the edge of the Jordan River, looking at the promised land that felt so far away. Joshua 1 verse 9, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Do you hear that? God didn't say be strong because you are strong. He said be strong because I am with you. Tonight, as you rest, you're not facing tomorrow alone. The same God who walked Joshua across that river is walking with you through whatever feels impossible. You don't need to have all the courage right now, just enough to take the next step. He's got the rest. Maybe you're feeling like you're not qualified for what's ahead, like God made a mistake choosing you for this season, this challenge, this calling. Your heart whispers, "I'm not ready, and I can't do this." But remember what God said to Joshua when Moses died, when suddenly this young man had to lead over 600,000 people. Joshua 1 verse 5, "No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you." God isn't surprised by your feelings of inadequacy. He sees them, and he's not disappointed. When you feel unqualified, unready, unprepared, that's exactly when his strength shows up most clearly. You don't have to be Moses. You don't have to be Joshua. You just have to be you, and let God be God through you. He's never left anyone who trusted him, and he's not starting with you. Perhaps your heart is heavy tonight because you feel like you've been wandering, like you've been in circles for so long, waiting for breakthrough, waiting for promises to be fulfilled. The desert season has been long, hasn't it? You're tired of waiting. But look at what happened when it was finally time for Israel to enter their inheritance. Joshua 1 verse 11, "Go through the camp and tell the people, get your provisions ready. 3 days from now you will cross the Jordan here to go in and take possession of the land the Lord your God is giving you for your own." 3 days. After 40 years of wandering, it was 3 days. Your season of waiting isn't wasted time. It's preparation time. God has been getting you ready, making you ready, preparing your heart, and when it's time, when it's the right time, things will move quickly. The breakthrough you've been praying for might be just 3 days away. Rest tonight, knowing that God's timing is always perfect. Maybe you're struggling tonight because the battles feel relentless. Just when you think you've overcome one challenge, another one appears. Your strength feels depleted. Your faith feels thin. You wonder if it will ever get easier. Listen to the promise God gave Joshua about the battles ahead. Joshua 1 verse 3, "I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. Every place where you set your foot. Not some places, or most places, but every single place. The battle you fought yesterday, that ground is yours now. The fear you faced last week, you conquered it. The anxiety that tried to overwhelm you last month, you walked through it, and because you did, because you kept putting one foot in front of the other, that territory belongs to you now. The enemy can't take back what God has already given you. Your heart might be breaking tonight. Loss, disappointment, betrayal. The pain cuts so deep you can barely breathe. You feel crushed, and you wonder if you'll ever feel whole again. But God spoke this promise over Joshua when the weight of leadership felt crushing. Joshua 1 verse 7. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Wherever you go. Not if things work out, or when life gets easier, but wherever you go. In the valley of heartbreak, God is with you. In the wilderness of confusion, God is with you. In the storm of uncertainty, God is with you. Your pain doesn't disqualify you from His presence. It draws His comfort. Your brokenness doesn't push Him away. It invites His healing. Wherever you go, He goes. Maybe tonight you feel forgotten, like God has moved on to help others while you're still stuck in the same struggles. You look around and see others experiencing breakthrough while you're still waiting, still believing, still hoping. But remember what God told Joshua about His faithfulness. Joshua 21, verse 45. Not one of all the Lord's good promises to Israel failed. Every one was fulfilled. Not one promise failed, not 99%, 100%. The promise He spoke over your life in that quiet moment years ago, still true. The dream He placed in your heart that seems impossible now, still His plan. The healing He whispered you would see, still coming. God doesn't make promises lightly, and He doesn't break them easily. What He promised, He will perform. Perhaps you're lying there tonight feeling overwhelmed by everything that needs to change, everything that needs to be different. The list feels endless. The task feels impossible. You don't even know where to start. Listen to the gentle instruction God gave Joshua. Joshua 1 verse 8. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Day and night. Not figure it all out at once, but day and night. One day at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time. You don't have to solve everything tonight. You don't have to become perfect by morning. Just let His word wash over your heart tonight and trust Him with tomorrow. Success in God's eyes isn't perfection. It's faithfulness, one day at a time. Maybe you're afraid tonight, afraid of the future, afraid of failure, afraid of disappointment. The fear feels so real, so consuming. Your mind races with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. But hear the heart of God speaking to you, just as He spoke to Joshua. Joshua 10 verse 25. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Be strong and courageous. This is what the Lord will do to all the enemies you fight. This is what the Lord will do. Not might do or could do, but will do. Your fears, your anxieties, your worries, God sees them as enemies of your peace, and He's already planning their defeat. You don't have to fight them in your own strength. You don't have to overcome them with your own courage. His courage becomes yours. His strength becomes yours. His victory becomes yours. Rest now, dear one. Let these truths sink deep into your spirit. You are not alone in your battles. You are not forgotten in your waiting. You are not disqualified by your weakness. You are chosen, loved, and carried by the same God who led Joshua into impossible victory after impossible victory. As you drift towards sleep, feel his presence surrounding you, his promises covering you, his peace filling every anxious space in your heart. Your mind won't stop racing tonight, will it? Thoughts spinning like a whirlwind, all the decisions that need to be made, all the unknowns stretching ahead. Your chest feels tight. Sleep feels impossible when your brain won't quiet down. The anxiety feels so real, so overwhelming. Joshua felt this same crushing weight when God told him it was time to cross the Jordan River. Joshua 3 verse 1. Early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out from Shittim and went to the Jordan, where they camped before crossing over. They camped first. Even Joshua, this great leader, this man of faith, he didn't just charge ahead. He stopped. He waited. He let his people prepare. Your racing mind tonight isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that what you're facing matters. Big transitions, important decisions, significant changes, they deserve time to process. You don't have to have it all figured out tonight. Even Joshua camped at the edge of his breakthrough and waited for God's timing. Maybe you're feeling completely overwhelmed by everything on your plate. Work, family, finances, health. It all feels like too much. You're drowning in responsibilities, suffocating under expectations. You can't see a way through, and you're exhausted from trying to hold it all together. Look at what Joshua faced when he had to lead over 600,000 people across an impossible river. Joshua 3 verse 15. Now the Jordan is at flood stage all during harvest. Yet as soon as the priests who carried the ark reached the Jordan and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing. Flood stage. The worst possible timing, humanly speaking. The river was at its most dangerous, its most impossible to cross. But that's exactly when God showed up. When your circumstances look the most impossible, when the timing seems the worst, when everything feels like it's working against you, that's God's specialty. Your overwhelming situation isn't too big for him. It's the perfect stage for his power to be displayed. Your heart is breaking tonight, isn't it? Loss, betrayal, disappointment. The pain cuts so deep you wonder if you'll ever feel whole again. You feel shattered, abandoned, forgotten. The grief feels too heavy to bear, and you can't see past this darkness. Joshua knew this kind of heartbreak when Moses died. When the one person who had been his mentor, his guide, his father figure, was suddenly gone. Joshua 1 verse 1-2. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' aide, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now then, you and all these people, get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land I am about to give to them. God didn't minimize Joshua's grief. He didn't say get over it or move on. But he did say, now then, not forget the past, but don't get stuck there. Your loss is real. Your pain is valid. Your grief matters to God. But it doesn't have to be the end of your story. The person you've lost, the dream that died, the future that shattered, God sees it all. And he's already writing the next chapter. Your broken heart doesn't disqualify you from his promises. It positions you to experience his comfort in ways you never knew possible. Maybe you feel like a complete failure tonight. You've made mistakes, wrong choices, decisions you regret. You feel disqualified, damaged, beyond redemption. The shame whispers that you've blown it too badly for God to use you now. But remember what happened when Israel completely disobeyed God's clear instructions at Ai. Joshua 7 verse 6. Then Joshua tore his clothes and fell face down to the ground before the ark of the Lord, remaining there till evening. The elders of Israel did the same and sprinkled dust on their heads. They failed miserably. Complete disaster. Joshua fell on his face before God, overwhelmed by their failure. But watch what God said next. Joshua 8 verse 1. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. Take the whole army with you, and go up and attack Ai. For I have delivered into your hands the king of Ai, his people, his city, and his land. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged." After their massive failure, God's first words weren't condemnation, they were comfort. Your mistakes don't surprise God. Your failures don't change His love for you. Your past doesn't disqualify your future. He's already working on your comeback story. The loneliness is suffocating tonight, isn't it? You feel invisible, misunderstood, completely alone in your struggles. No one seems to get what you're going through. The isolation feels unbearable, and you wonder if anyone even notices you're hurting. Joshua felt this crushing loneliness when he had to make decisions that affected hundreds of thousands of people. Joshua 24 verse 15. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my household, sometimes you have to stand alone. Sometimes your faith, your convictions, your choices won't be popular. Sometimes you'll feel like the only one doing the right thing, the only one believing God's promises, the only one staying faithful, but you're never actually alone. The same God who stood with Joshua when he made that lonely declaration is standing with you tonight. Your isolation is temporary, but His presence is eternal. Fear is paralyzing you tonight, isn't it? Fear of the future, fear of failure, fear of more pain. You can't move forward because you're terrified of what might happen. The unknown feels too dangerous, too risky. You'd rather stay stuck than face the possibility of more hurt. Look at what Joshua faced when God told him to attack Jericho. Joshua 6 verse 2-3. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and its fighting men. March around the city, once with all the armed men. Do this for 6 days. March around a fortified city with walls so thick that houses were built on them." It made no sense. It looked foolish. It felt dangerous. But God said, "I have delivered," past tense. The victory was already accomplished before they took the first step. Your fear is real, but it's not bigger than God's plan. What looks impossible to you is already finished in His eyes. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. Maybe you feel stuck tonight, trapped in the same patterns, same struggles, same defeats. You've tried to change so many times, but you keep falling back into the same cycles. You're discouraged, frustrated, ready to give up on yourself. Remember what God told Joshua about the Canaanites they couldn't seem to drive out completely. Joshua 13 verse 1. When Joshua had grown old, the Lord said to him, "You are now very old, and there are still very large areas of land to be taken over." Still very large areas. God wasn't disappointed. He wasn't surprised. He wasn't giving up on the plan. Progress isn't always perfection. Victory isn't always immediate. Some battles take time. Some changes happen gradually. Some healing comes in stages. You're not behind schedule. You're not failing. You're in process, and God is patient with your process. Your faith feels so weak tonight, doesn't it? Doubt creeps in like fog, clouding everything you thought you knew about God. You want to believe, but the circumstances are so loud, so overwhelming. You feel guilty for questioning, ashamed for struggling to trust. Joshua struggled with doubt too when the battle seemed endless. Joshua 10 verse 12-13. On the day the Lord gave the Amorites over to Israel, Joshua said to the Lord in the presence of Israel, "Son, stand still over Gibeon, and you, moon, over the valley of Ajalon. So the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, till the nation avenged itself on its enemies. Joshua asked God to stop the sun and moon. Can you imagine the faith that took? But notice, he made this request in the middle of battle, when everything was chaotic, when the outcome was uncertain. Faith isn't the absence of doubt. It's the decision to trust God in the presence of doubt. Your weak faith isn't worthless. It's precious to God. He honors even mustard seed faith, even trembling faith, even questioning faith. The guilt is crushing you tonight, isn't it? Mistakes you've made, people you've hurt, opportunities you've missed. You replay the failures over and over, beating yourself up, wondering if you'll ever be free from this weight of regret. But look at what happened when Israel made a terrible mistake with the Gibeonites. Joshua 9 verse 15. Then Joshua made a treaty of peace with them to let them live, and the leaders of the assembly ratified it by oath. They were completely deceived. They made a covenant they shouldn't have made. But watch what God did. He honored their mistake and turned it into something that worked for his purposes. Your mistakes don't derail God's plan for your life. They become part of it. He's the God who writes straight with crooked lines, who brings beauty from ashes, who turns even your failures into stepping stones. Maybe you feel like everyone else is moving forward while you're standing still. Others are getting breakthroughs, experiencing miracles, seeing prayers answered, and you're still waiting. The comparison is killing you, and you wonder if God has forgotten about you. Remember that not every tribe in Israel received their inheritance at the same time. Joshua 14 verse 1. Now these are the areas the Israelites received as an inheritance in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal clans of Israel allotted to them. Some got their land early, others had to wait. Some saw immediate fulfillment, others had to trust longer. But everyone received what God had promised. Your timing isn't their timing, and their timing isn't yours. God has a specific inheritance prepared for you, and He will deliver it at exactly the right moment. Don't let comparison steal your peace tonight. Rest now, precious one. Your struggles are real, but they're not the final word. Your pain matters to God, but it's not bigger than His love. Your fears are valid, but they're not stronger than His promises. As sleep begins to embrace you, let every burden roll off your shoulders. Tomorrow's battles can wait. Tonight, you are held, you are loved, you are safe. You're wondering tonight if things will ever really change. If breakthrough is actually coming, or if you'll be stuck in this season forever. The promises God whispered to your heart months or maybe years ago, do they still matter? Are they still true? Your circumstances haven't shifted, and hope feels fragile. Listen to the promise God made to Joshua, and through Joshua, to you. Joshua 1 verse 3. I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. As I promised. This wasn't a new idea, a sudden change of heart, or a maybe if things work out possibility. This was God keeping a promise He made long before Joshua was even born. The promise God spoke over your life before you took your first breath. It's still true tonight. Time doesn't weaken. His commitments, delays don't cancel His declarations. What He promised Moses, He fulfilled through Joshua. What He promised your grandparents in faith, He's completing through you. What He whispered to your heart in that quiet moment, it's still His plan. Maybe you feel like you're not strong enough for what's ahead. The challenges look enormous, and your resources feel so small. You wonder if God made a mistake choosing you, if He overestimated your capacity to handle what He's called you to. But hear this rock-solid promise He made to Joshua when the weight of leadership felt crushing. Joshua 1 verse 5. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you all the days of your life. Not just the good days, not just when you're feeling strong, not just when circumstances are favorable. All the days when you feel weak, the days when you're overwhelmed, the days when you can barely get out of bed. On every single one of those days, this promise stands. No weapon formed against you will prosper. No circumstance will overwhelm you. No enemy will defeat you. Because it's not about your strength, it's about His presence with you. Your heart is heavy tonight because you can't see how God could possibly work this situation for good. The pain is too deep, the damage too extensive, the mess too complicated. You want to trust that He's working, but you can't imagine how anything beautiful could come from something so broken. Look at the promise God gave Joshua when Israel faced seemingly impossible odds. Joshua 1 verse 9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go, wherever you go. Into the mess, into the chaos, into the impossibility, He goes with you. This promise means your broken marriage isn't a place too dark for His light. Your financial crisis isn't a situation too complicated for His provision. Your health battle isn't a fight too difficult for His healing. Your family dysfunction isn't a dynamic too messy for His restoration. Wherever you go in this life, even into the valleys you never wanted to walk, His presence transforms everything. Maybe you're afraid tonight that you've missed your moment. Opportunities have passed, doors have closed, and you feel like it's too late for your dreams to come true. You're older now, circumstances have changed, and hope feels foolish. But remember this beautiful promise about God's perfect timing. Joshua 21 verse 44. The Lord gave them rest on every side, just as He had sworn to their ancestors. Not one of their enemies withstood them. The Lord gave all their enemies into their hands, just as He had sworn to their ancestors. 400 years earlier, God promised Abraham this land. 400 years of waiting, suffering, slavery, and then, at exactly the right moment, the promise was fulfilled. Not one day early, not one day late. Your timeline isn't God's timeline, and His delays are not His denials. What He promised you isn't expired because time has passed. It's being prepared, refined, perfected for the exact right moment of delivery. You feel forgotten tonight, don't you? Like God has moved on to help others while you're still struggling with the same issues, still believing for the same breakthroughs, still waiting for the same answers. Everyone else seems to be experiencing His goodness while you're still in the wilderness. Listen to this promise that applied to every single tribe of Israel, not just the favored ones. Joshua 21 verse 43. So the Lord gave Israel all the land He had sworn to give their ancestors, and they took possession of it and settled there. All the land. Not just to Judah, not just to Benjamin, not just to the ones who seemed more spiritual or more deserving. Every tribe received their inheritance. Every family got their portion. Every promise was kept. God doesn't have favorites. He has children, and you are His child. Your inheritance is already prepared, already set aside with your name on it. The fact that you haven't received it yet doesn't mean it's not coming. It means it's not time yet. Perhaps you're lying there tonight feeling like a failure because of how many times you've fallen short, how many times you've had to start over, how many times you've disappointed yourself and others. You wonder if God gets tired of your inconsistency. But look at this promise that covered Israel's failures too. Joshua 23 verse 14. Now I am about to go the way of all the earth. You know with all your heart and soul that not one of all the good promises the Lord your God gave you has failed. Every promise has been fulfilled, not one has failed. Every promise has been fulfilled, not one has failed. This includes the promises about forgiveness, about fresh starts, about his patience with your weaknesses, the promise that his mercies are new every morning, kept. The promise that his love never fails, kept. The promise that he's working all things together for good, kept. Your failures don't cancel his faithfulness. Your mistakes don't void his mercy. Every single promise he's made about his love for you, his patience with you, his plans for you, they're all still good. Maybe you're terrified tonight about what the future holds. The unknowns feel overwhelming, and you want guarantees that everything will work out the way you hope. The uncertainty is keeping you awake, filling you with anxiety. But rest in this promise about God's faithfulness to future generations. Joshua 23, verse 15 to 16. But just as all the good things the Lord your God has promised you have come to you, so he will bring on you all the evil things he has threatened, until the Lord your God destroys you from this good land he has given you. If you violate the covenant of the Lord your God, which he commanded you, and go and serve other gods and bow down to them, the Lord's anger will burn against you, and you will quickly perish from the good land he has given you. Wait, that sounds scary, doesn't it? But look closer. This is actually a promise about his faithfulness. God is saying, just as surely as I keep my promises for good, I keep my promises for protection. He's so committed to your well-being that he'll even discipline you if it means keeping you in his blessing. Your future isn't uncertain. It's secured by a God who loves you too much to let you destroy yourself. Your resources feel so inadequate tonight for what you're facing. The bills are bigger than your bank account. The need is greater than your strength. The challenge is beyond your ability. You feel overwhelmed by the gap between what you have and what you need. Look at this promise about God's provision through Joshua's victories. Joshua 11, verse 23. So Joshua took the entire land, just as the Lord had directed Moses, and he gave it as an inheritance to Israel according to their tribal divisions. Then the land had rest from war. The entire land, not just enough to get by, not just the minimum to survive, the entire inheritance. God doesn't give partial blessings or incomplete provision. When he meets your need, he doesn't just give you enough for today. He gives you your full inheritance, the land of blessing, the territory of abundance, the inheritance of peace. What looks insufficient to you right now is just the appetizer before the feast. Maybe you feel like you're constantly battling the same enemies, the same fears, the same temptations, the same negative thought patterns. You win a victory only to find yourself fighting the same battle again. You're exhausted from the cycle and wonder if you'll ever have lasting peace. But hear this promise about ultimate victory. Joshua 10, verse 24 to 25. When they had brought these kings to Joshua, he summoned all the men of Israel and said to the army commanders who had come with him, "Come here and put your feet on the necks of these kings." So they came forward and placed their feet on their necks. Joshua said to them, "Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, be strong and courageous. This is what the Lord will do to all the enemies you fight. This is what the Lord will do to all the enemies you fight." Not some enemies, not most enemies, all enemies. The fear that keeps attacking you, the depression that keeps returning, the addiction that keeps calling your name, the insecurity that keeps undermining your confidence. God sees them all as defeated foes. You might still be in battle with them, but the victory is already assured. Put your feet on their necks. They have no power over your future. Your heart is breaking tonight because someone you love is making choices that are destroying their life, and you feel powerless to help them. You've prayed, you've pleaded, you've tried everything you know to do, but nothing seems to change. The helplessness is agonizing. Find comfort in this promise about God's sovereignty over all people. Joshua 24 verse 14 to 15. Now fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods your ancestors worshipped beyond the Euphrates River and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Joshua couldn't control what everyone else chose, but he could control his own choice. Your loved one's decisions are not in your hands. They're in God's hands, and they're Faye's own. But your choice to love them, to pray for them, to trust God with them, that's your powerful contribution to their story. Your faithfulness creates a covering of blessing over their life, even when they can't see it or feel it. Rest now in these promises, dear one. They're not wishes or hopes or possibilities. They're certainties backed by the character of a God who has never broken a single commitment. As you drift towards sleep, let these truths wash over every anxious thought. His promises are yes and amen. His faithfulness endures forever, and his love for you will never, ever fail. I know it's hard to have faith right now. When you're in this much pain, when nothing makes sense, when prayers feel like they're hitting the ceiling, believing feels almost impossible, doesn't it? You want to trust God, but your heart is tired and your hope feels fragile. But listen to what happened when Joshua was questioning God's plan at Ai. Joshua 7 verse 7. And Joshua said, Alas, sovereign Lord, why did you ever bring this people across the Jordan to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us? If only we had been content to stay on the other side of the Jordan. Do you hear the doubt, the questioning, the frustration? Even Joshua, this great leader, had moments when faith felt impossible. Why did you bring us here just to destroy us? Sound familiar? God didn't rebuke Joshua for these honest questions. He met him right where he was and gave him a path forward. Your doubt doesn't disqualify your faith. It makes your faith real. Maybe you feel like your faith is too weak to be worth anything. You look at others who seem so certain, so confident in their beliefs, and you feel like your trembling trust is somehow less valuable to God. But remember what Joshua experienced at Jericho when God gave the strangest battle plan ever. Joshua 6 verse 15 to 16. On the seventh day, they got up at daybreak and marched around the city, 7 times in the same manner, except that on that day they circled the city 7 times. The 7th time around, when the priests sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the army, Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. 7 days of walking around a city in silence. Can you imagine what the Israelites were thinking? This is our strategy. This is how we're going to defeat a fortified city. But they kept walking, 1 foot in front of the other. That's what faith is. Not feeling certain, but keeping walking when you can't see the sense in it. Your wobbly, uncertain, questioning faith that keeps showing up, that's precious to God. You wonder tonight if God still hears your prayers. They feel so repetitive, so desperate, and you're not even sure you're saying the right words anymore. You feel disconnected from him, like there's static on the line between your heart and heaven. Look at how Joshua prayed when everything went wrong. Joshua 7 verse 6 to 9. Then Joshua tore his clothes and fell face down to the ground before the ark of the Lord, remaining there till evening. The elders of Israel did the same, and sprinkled dust on their heads. And Joshua said, Alas, sovereign Lord, why did you ever bring this people across the Jordan to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us. O Lord, what can I say now that Israel has been routed by its enemies? The Canaanites and the other people of the country will hear about this, and they will surround us and wipe out our name from the earth. What then will you do for your own great name? Raw, honest, desperate prayer. No fancy words, no perfect theology, just a broken heart pouring itself out before God. And God heard every word. God answered every concern. Your messy prayers, your confused questions, your desperate cries, they're music to God's ears because they're real. He's not looking for eloquence. He's looking for authenticity. Maybe you feel like your faith journey has been one failure after another. You've tried to trust, tried to believe, tried to follow God's leading, but things keep going wrong. You wonder if you're missing something, if you're doing faith wrong somehow. But notice what happened after Israel's devastating defeat at Ai. Joshua 8 verse 1. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. Take the whole army with you, and go up and attack Ai. For I have delivered into your hands the king of Ai, his people, his city, and his land." After complete failure, God said, "Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged." The failure wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of a comeback. Your faith failures, your spiritual setbacks, your times of doubt and confusion, they don't disqualify you from God's blessing. They prepare you for a testimony of His grace and restoration. Perhaps you're struggling tonight because you feel like you're supposed to have all the answers, supposed to be further along in your spiritual journey than you are. You compare yourself to others who seem so mature in their faith, and you feel like you're spiritually behind. Remember that even Joshua needed encouragement from others. Joshua 14 verse 6 to 12. Now the people of Judah approached Joshua at Gilgal, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, said to him, "You know what the Lord said to Moses, the man of God, at Kadesh Barnea, about you and me. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land, and I brought him back a report according to my convictions. But my fellow Israelites who went up with me made the hearts of the people melt in fear. I, however, wholeheartedly followed the Lord my God." Caleb had to remind Joshua of God's promises. Even leaders need reminders. Even strong believers need encouragement. Even people with great faith have moments when they need someone else to speak truth over them. You're not behind. You're human. You're not weak. You're wise enough to need community and reminders of God's goodness. Your faith feels small tonight, maybe even insignificant. You wish you had mountain-moving faith, but your faith feels more like a tiny seed that might not even be alive anymore. But look at what happened when Israel's faith was tested at the crossing of the Jordan. Joshua 3 verse 15 to 16. Now the Jordan is at flood stage, all during harvest. Yet as soon as the priests who carried the ark reached the Jordan and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap a great distance away at a town called Adam in the vicinity of Zarethan, while the water flowing down to the Sea of the Arabah was completely cut off. So the people crossed over opposite Jericho as soon as their feet touched the water. Not when they felt faith, not when they conquered their fear, not when they figured out how God was going to do it. As soon as they took the first step. Your small faith that takes one step forward is more powerful than great faith that stays paralyzed. God honors the faith that moves, even when it's trembling. Maybe you're exhausted tonight from trying to manufacture more faith, trying to believe harder, trying to feel more spiritual. The effort is wearing you out, and you feel like you're failing at being a good Christian. But see how gently God dealt with Joshua when his faith was shaken. Joshua 5, verse 13 to 15. Now, when Joshua was near Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua went up to him and asked, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" "Neither," he replied, "but as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come." Then Joshua fell face down to the ground in reverence and asked him, "What message does my Lord have for his servant?" The commander of the Lord's army replied, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy." And Joshua did so. Joshua was afraid enough to ask whose side this mysterious figure was on. But instead of rebuking his fear, God revealed himself. Instead of demanding more faith, God provided more of his presence. You don't have to work up more faith tonight. You just need to encounter more of his love. Faith isn't something you manufacture. It's something that grows naturally in the soil of his goodness. You're wondering tonight if God is disappointed in you because your faith is so inconsistent. Some days you believe completely. Other days you struggle to believe at all. The roller coaster is exhausting, and you feel like you're letting God down. But notice how patiently God worked with his people throughout the entire conquest. Joshua 11 verse 18. Joshua waged war against all these kings for a long time. A long time. Not overnight transformation, not instant victory, not immediate perfect faith. A long time. God isn't in a hurry with you. He's not frustrated by your process. He's not disappointed by your timeline. Your faith journey is exactly that, a journey. Some days you'll walk confidently, some days you'll stumble, some days you'll crawl, but every day you're moving forward, and that's enough for him. Maybe your faith is being shaken by circumstances that don't match what you've been taught about God's goodness. Bad things are happening to good people, prayers aren't being answered the way you expected, and you're questioning everything you thought you knew. Remember what happened when God's people faced enemies they thought they'd already defeated. Joshua 13 verse 1. When Joshua had grown old, the Lord said to him, "You are now very old, and there are still very large areas of land to be taken over." Still very large areas. God wasn't surprised that the job wasn't finished. He wasn't disappointed that some enemies remained. He wasn't giving up on the plan. Sometimes faith means accepting that victory is a process, that healing takes time, that breakthrough comes in stages. Your faith isn't failing if everything isn't perfect yet. It's maturing as it learns to trust God's timing. Rest now, dear believer. Your faith doesn't have to be perfect to be precious. Your trust doesn't have to be complete to be beautiful. Your belief doesn't have to be certain to be valuable. God treasures every small step you take toward him, every whispered prayer you offer, every moment you choose hope over despair. As you fall asleep tonight, know that your faith, exactly as it is right now, is enough for him. Your mind has been racing all day, hasn't it? Even now, trying to rest, thoughts keep coming like waves against the shore. Work tomorrow, decisions to make, problems to solve, people to take care of. Your body is tired, but your brain won't quiet down. The mental noise feels overwhelming. Joshua knew this kind of mental exhaustion when the weight of leading God's people felt crushing. Joshua 24 verse 1. Then Joshua assembled all the tribes of Israel at Shechem. He summoned the elders, leaders, judges, and officials of Israel, and they presented themselves before God. Even at the end of his life, Joshua was still carrying responsibility for hundreds of thousands of people. But notice what he did. He assembled them before God. When your mind is overwhelmed with all you're carrying, you don't have to figure it out alone. You can present it all before God. Every racing thought, every spinning worry, every urgent concern, lay it down before him now. Let your breathing slow down. Feel the weight of your head sinking into your pillow. Your shoulders can drop. The tension in your jaw can release. You don't have to hold it all together anymore today. Maybe your heart is restless tonight because you can't shake the feeling that you're not where you're supposed to be in life. You look around and everyone else seems to have it figured out while you still feel lost, behind, uncertain about your direction. But listen to these peaceful words Joshua spoke at the end of his journey. Joshua 23 verse 14. Now I am about to go the way of all the earth. You know with all your heart and soul that not one of all the good promises the Lord your God gave you has failed. Every promise has been fulfilled. Not one has failed. Every promise has been fulfilled. Not most promises or the important promises, but every single one. Joshua could rest at the end of his life knowing that God had been faithful in every detail. You don't have to have your whole life figured out tonight. God does. Every promise He's whispered to your heart is still on His agenda. You're not behind His schedule. You're right where you need to be. Take another deep breath. Let it out slowly. Feel your body melting into rest. Your spirit feels heavy tonight because you're carrying guilt about past mistakes, regret about missed opportunities, shame about choices you wish you could undo. The weight of what if and if only is stealing your peace. Rest in these gentle words about God's complete forgiveness. Joshua 21 verse 44 to 45. The Lord gave them rest on every side, just as He had sworn to their ancestors. Not one of their enemies withstood them. The Lord gave all their enemies into their hands. Not one of all the Lord's good promises to Israel failed. Every one was fulfilled. The Lord gave them rest on every side. Your past mistakes, your current regrets, your lingering shame, God sees them all as defeated enemies. He's already given you rest from them. You don't have to fight those battles anymore. The forgiveness is complete. The slate is clean. The grace covers everything. You can rest from the warfare in your mind about your past. Let your muscles relax. Notice how your breathing is naturally slowing down. Your eyelids are getting heavier. Perhaps you're lying there feeling anxious about tomorrow, about the week ahead, about all the unknowns stretching before you. The future feels uncertain and scary. You want to control it, to know how things will turn out. Find peace in Joshua's final blessing over God's people. Joshua 22 verse 4. Now that the Lord your God has given them rest as He promised, return to your homes in the land that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you on the other side of the Jordan, as He promised. God's promises about tomorrow are as certain as His promises about yesterday. The same God who brought Joshua and Israel into their promised land is the God who holds your future. Tomorrow's challenges are already covered by today's promises. Next week's needs are already provided for by an unchanging God. You can release your grip on the future and let Him hold it. Your breathing is getting deeper now. Your body is sinking deeper into rest. Maybe your heart aches tonight because relationships are broken, because people you love are hurting, because connection feels so hard sometimes. The loneliness cuts deep, and you wonder if anyone really sees you, really knows you. Listen to these tender words about lasting connection. Joshua 24 verse 15. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my household. Joshua found his identity, his belonging, his connection in relationship with God. Human relationships will sometimes disappoint, sometimes fail, sometimes leave you feeling alone. But your relationship with God, that's unshakable, unchanging, eternal. You are seen, you are known, you are loved with an everlasting love. Feel your whole body relaxing now. Every muscle letting go, every tension releasing. Your soul feels weary tonight because life has been hard for so long. The battles seem endless, the struggles feel overwhelming, and you're tired of fighting just to keep your head above water. You long for real peace, deep peace, lasting peace. Rest now in these beautiful words about the peace God gives. Joshua 21 verse 44. The Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had sworn to their ancestors. Rest on every side. Not partial peace, not temporary relief, rest on every side. From the battles behind you, from the struggles around you, from the fears ahead of you. Tonight, as you surrender to sleep, you're surrendering to this promise. His peace is surrounding you like a fortress. His rest is covering you like a blanket. Your eyes are getting so heavy now. Your breathing is slow and steady. Maybe you're afraid to fully rest because your heart has been broken so many times. You've learned to stay alert, to guard yourself, to keep your defenses up. Trusting feels dangerous, and complete rest feels vulnerable. But listen to these words about the safety God provides. Joshua 1 verse 9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. I will be with you wherever you go, even into sleep, even into dreams, even into the vulnerable places of rest. He goes with you. You don't have to guard yourself tonight. You don't have to stay alert for danger. You don't have to protect yourself. He is your protector, your guardian, your shield. You can rest completely because he never sleeps. Let go now. Let every worry drift away like clouds. Your spirit is ready for rest now because you remember who you are. You are a child of the God who moved mountains for Joshua, who stopped the sun and moon, who brought down the walls of Jericho with a shout. The same power that worked through Joshua is watching over you tonight. Feel yourself sinking deeper into peace. Joshua 24, verse 26 to 27. And Joshua recorded these things in the book of the law of God. Then he took a large stone and set it up there, under the oak near the holy place of the Lord. He said to all the people, This stone will be a witness against us. It has heard all the words the Lord has spoken to us. It will be a witness against you if you are untrue to your God. Joshua set up a stone of remembrance. Tonight, let this meditation be your stone of remembrance. Let it remind you of God's faithfulness, His promises, His presence. When worry tries to wake you, remember Joshua's victories. When fear whispers lies, remember God's promises. When doubt creeps in, remember His perfect track record of love. You're breathing so slowly now, so peacefully. The same God who gave Joshua rest is giving you rest tonight. The same God who fought Joshua's battles is fighting yours. The same God who never left Joshua is never leaving you. Rest now. You are held. Rest now. You are loved. Rest now. You are safe. The battles of today are finished. Tomorrow's challenges can wait. Right now, in this moment, you are completely covered by His peace. Your breathing is gentle and slow. Your body is heavy with rest. Your mind is quiet and still. Joshua crossed the Jordan. You can cross into rest. Joshua conquered the giants. You can conquer your fears. Joshua inherited the promise. You are inheriting peace. Rest. Beloved child, rest. The God who never sleeps is watching over you. His angels are camping around you. His love is surrounding you. You can let go now. You can stop striving now. You can rest now. Just rest.